And a lot of times that's when a guy will come in and say like, oh, my girl's dry. Like, what did you do to get her wet?
Right.
You know, a lot of times it's like you didn't do nothing to get her wet, but it's also ignorance, because some men assume that the woman is going to get turned on from simply engaging in sex with him. Like, you know, we're doing something sexual, I'm getting pleased, so everybody's turned on. But it doesn't always work that way. We have somebody said, I don't know how men can enjoy being with a woman without considering her pleasure. I think it's ignorance. You know, a lot of it is just ignorance. Your perception of pleasure, your perception of having sex is not even that expanded to the point where you think about somebody outside yourself, or you think about, like, this is not automatically a mutually pleasurable thing. Maybe you haven't been taught to talk about sex while you're doing it. And I think that's something I went through too. It's like when you have sex, like, you don't be talking through it or about it afterwards. Like, you did it, it's over, and you go on to the next thing. You don't review it or, you know, have a discussion and talk about your experience. And that's, you know, that's a common pattern, especially in these conservative households. Like, if you are doing anything sexual, it's on the low, and because it's on the low, you have all this shame built into it, and a lot of that develops for men into premature ejaculation, or ED, where you are misaligned sexually because it's been something that's been stressful for you. And women too. I know you said performance anxiety. Women got performance anxiety, and oral sex is one way that we do it, is because we are expected to perform this way, right? So you offer it. And also just we love, I think there was this time where I was like, women need to just stop giving head for not giving it, if you're not getting it. And I was like, but then what if you like giving head? Right? It's like, I'm not gonna punish myself.
Right.
So then that's the thing too. And that's, you know, it's not gonna change the other person's mind per se, but you also have to think about, every time I do this, do I feel like I'm shorted? What I want to do about it. But for me, I don't put myself in those situations. I don't mess with nobody that doesn't reciprocate head. And actually, I have in the past, but it was because the stroke game was so strong. Like, I was like, okay, this will do for now. Stroke game,
that's
game
another
was strong,
thing.
honey.
So if you're not going to eat the pussy, your stroke game better be like on 1,000 out here in these streets, like,
right?
Like, and then like everything else that you do has to be on point too, because, like, again, that's the arousal thing. Like, how do you even get her to the point where she's wet enough to enter her without the oral part of it? Because I know I can do that now, but that's like years of like just learning how to touch a woman properly, to stimulate certain other areas properly. But you know, I was always a freak, so I wasn't afraid of the. You're
a different breed.
I'm a different breed, so I got to kind of take myself out of the equation when it comes to that, you know. But I mean, so I would just want to know, like, what are guys doing? What are guys doing if they're not doing that? Like, I don't get it.
I mean, I guess you could do, like, my one friend, like, fingers. There's a lot of things you can do too. Like, you don't have to if you don't like it. You can use toys with her. You can use fingers with her. Skin to skin, body sliding is actually my number one way to get turned on. Body sliding and oral pleasure. And I don't know if you guys know, but I am what I call orally oriented. So I love oral pleasure, whether it's vagina or whether it's dick. I like both. I thoroughly enjoy both. And it's the oral pleasure. Like, my mouth is a sex organ. Everybody's mouth is a sex organ. And, but mine's real, like, turned up. And I have I love it. So for me, I get, like, dripping wet when I give oral. So it is a form of foreplay for me to give it. But, I also like to receive it, just because that's how I am. I like to, you know, give and receive, and I really enjoy it. So why would I not want to receive it? Why do I think that I deserve it, that I should have it? And, you know, that was something I had to realize too, was shorting myself. And it was all those years of making excuses and being like, I don't have to have it, and I'm just gonna keep on slugging away. And eventually I was like, nah, fuck that. And here we are.
Yeah, we all need to advocate for our pleasure.
Advocate,
and what we want.
Yes.
And such an intimate and powerful experience that sexual intimacy is. There's so many different benefits to it. It's such a creative thing. Like you can literally like create your life around sexual energy, right? So
exactly.
I mean, like, take advantage of all of the opportunities that you have to maximize your pleasure in it, because there's more going on than just the pleasure. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more going on than just the pleasure. And there's how do you, because I've heard like the hygiene issues but how do you get that far with a person that you have any consideration for their hygiene? How do you get to that point? Like, how do you get all the way to like okay,
if their hygiene is not good enough for you to perform oral, then how do you make out with them? How do you penetrate?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And hygiene is a thing too, because everybody will say that, like, we don't want anything dirty in our mouths. So hygiene is what you should do to be considerate, but also to feel confident. Like, for me, it's like, I want to come out the shower. I don't want to have, I call it like work pussy, where you've just been sitting around all day or doing things all day. And at the end of the day, before your shower, like, I don't want to do that because I don't feel good. Right? So I'm going to go take a shower so that I feel like we can both enjoy this. So that's consideration. But besides that, it's also your diet, your health. So if you're with somebody that's not compatible with you on those planes spiritually, then you could not like the way that they taste. But that's still an overall reflection of compatibility of what you're giving and receiving from that relationship. So I would rather be with somebody that I can feel like I don't want to keep them out of my body, out of my mouth, out of my presence, that thirsts for them in every way. Like, I would want to be with somebody like that versus like, we can do this and this, but I don't like this part of you. Like, if I don't like making out with you, I can't be with you. Like, and then let me read this. Cami Lobato, my friendship. I think it's partially a misguided sense of pride, and this is a man talking to, FYI. A lot of guys think that they just rock in bed, and if they're having pleasure, their partner is having pleasure just as much. So yeah, I feel like that's a very common assumption, especially too, performance anxiety. Like I was saying, we will act like we're enjoying it.
Yeah. So
right.
So you have to get to the point. You have to get to the point where you actually want to know if your partner is being pleased or not, and actually ask the questions. I mean, sometimes you can kind of know, but
you can get lied to though too.
Right. You can get lied to.
Yeah.
You can get a total performance in bed, and not know what's going on, and think that it was really great, and not know what's going on. But then again, all of that comes back to the connection with your partner, right? So if you're like connecting on all of these other levels, then you'll be more prone to be honest about what's going on. I would anyway.
Okay, so Salty Soul said, definitely need the chemistry. It all starts in the mind. My mind needs to be stimulated first. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta excite
definitely.
me mentally, excite me emotionally, and then everything else will flow. And I think that's like part of the reason we don't have those full sexual experiences, that we only do one thing, which is penetration. It's easy. I work with a lot of people that I used to do it. We shut off our bodies for sex because it's something that we could do to get through obligations of sex, expectations of sex.
Right.
And so a lot of us have made this habit of disconnecting from it and not even really feeling it, just going through it, making the noises you're supposed to make because it feels okay, it feels good, but never getting to a point of orgasm, and sometimes not doing anything about it. So if we never get to the point of climax, or we don't explore our potential to have higher pleasure, then what's the point of us keep having these experiences that we're not growing on? And part of that growth is not lying to each other, being honest, and being with somebody that you can be honest with. So like, I know
Right.
we've all had sex where we're not even comfortable enough with the person to be that honest. So the sex goes suck, and then you're gonna split up or go separate ways from then. Maybe talk some shit, but you never talk to each other and actually talk about how that experience could have been better, how you could both grow from it.